As a staple in SoCal traffic, consider this commute my villain origin story. My 65-mile trek from my home in Temecula to my high school in Santa Ana began before the crack of dawn and involved two buses and the Metrolink. The journey was roughly 2.5 hours each way, and some days I would arrive home even later, due to after-school rehearsals running until 10 p.m. This daily commute took a serious toll on my health, causing severe exhaustion and extensively shorter amounts of sleep. I felt like the world was rooting against me, as I was really trying my best to keep up with this hectic schedule, but it never felt like it was getting any better. The reality was, most of the time, I was either over-caffeinated or under-rested. Instead of venting about my commute, I took more of a passive-aggressive nature with my loved ones, pushing them away, when all I really wanted was their support. I became the master of passive-aggressive texts and in-person ghosting, slowly chipping away at the relationships I had. By the end of it, I realized I didn't need a cape to be the villain. All I needed was a commute that turned me into a grumpy, sleep-deprived, cynical version of my former self.
In 2019, my parents made the bold decision to completely uproot my siblings and my life and move to Bangalore, India, a country I had never even visited before. I left behind the only home, friends, and family I had ever known. When I arrived to the land of music, dance, spices, and color, all I saw was the pollution and rain. I shut down, closing my heart off to all the beautiful things India had to offer for many, many months. I let anger and frustration fester as I battled my inner cynic. Although I was able to eventually shift my perspective on this new opportunity, I often wonder what would have happened if I didn't blame my parents, family, new school, and community sooner. Cynicism, the belief that all people are selfish, greedy, and dishonest, isn't just a mentality. It's a form of life we live in. Today's teens grow up witnessing social division, rising sea levels, and countless other personal and global challenges. For many, like myself, cynicism became a defense mechanism, a way to make sense of the world we live in. In 1972, 48% of Americans believed that most people could be trusted. Fast forward to 2018, and that number plummeted to just 31.9%, according to the U.S. General Social Survey taken in 2022.
This shift isn't just a statistic. It's a telling sign of how trust and optimism have eroded over generations. For teens today, growing up in a world where trust is diminishing can shape their outlook on life. They're inheriting a society marked by skepticism and doubt, fueling a cycle of cynicism that impacts their mental health, relationships, and sense of community.
Stuck in this mental loop of nothing matters anymore, we're in more than just a bad mood. We're in a chronic stress factor. Stress in all its forms, the known villain in the world of health, and its consequences on the body are staggering. Cynicism has been shown to be linked to an increase in cardiovascular problems, such as heart disease and hypertension. You see, being cynical isn't just bad for your heart emotionally. It can literally break your heart physically. And that's not all. Cynicism has also been correlated to an increase in risk for diabetes, cancer, and even dementia. And let me tell you, no one wants to add dementia to a list of concerns in high school, especially not right after figuring out how to pass calculus.
Mental health is also deeply affected. Cynicism can trigger chronic depression. This kind of stress isn't just a temporary setback, it becomes a lifelong burden that impacts everything, from how you sleep to how you interact with others. Before you know it, you're ghosting your friends and swiping left on Tinder like there's no tomorrow. So, yes, if you're trying to stay healthy and avoid the slippery slope of chronic depression, try not to be a walking pessimist. Being a cynic is like being in a relationship with your TED Talk co-host. It's complicated and it never ends well.
Now add social media into the mix. The land of likes, filters, and never-ending existential dread. It's no secret that social media is a breeding ground for competition. But here's the thing. It doesn't just create envy, it feeds cynicism. Think about it. Scrolling on Instagram where everyone's life seems perfectly curated and put together. Studies have shown that this desire to fit into this perfect model has actually led to an increase of isolation and distrust. So the question becomes, how do we escape this scroll hole? Or at least stop it from stealing our sleep and sense of optimism?
Alright, it's time to stop being pessimistic for a second. And no, it's not just about deleting all your social media accounts. Though trust me, it can help. First, we need to address the root cause of the issue. The overwhelming sense of uncertainty. But here's the thing. Every generation has faced uncertainty. Ours is no different. What can be different is how we choose to respond to it. There are two main tactics to help alleviate the detrimental effects of cynicism in your daily lives. First, we can start by actively challenging our cynical thoughts. It's about breaking down those "the world is doomed" thoughts and replacing them with something a little more hopeful. Instead of thinking, "Why bother? The world's a dumpster fire." Try, "Yeah, the world is a dumpster fire, but maybe we can turn this thing into a bonfire and roast marshmallows over it while we try fixing it." Even if it's just reminding ourselves that maybe one person out there is trustworthy, or that while climate change is real and scary, there are real passionate young people out there working to fix it. Change begins with small acts of hope, not sweeping optimism, but we need to find ways to keep that hope alive. Making small changes, like actively looking for the good stuff, even when you're knee-deep in a swamp of negativity. And trust me, there's always something good. Whether it's that one influencer you're low-key obsessed with, or a tutorial that actually makes you feel productive.
The most important step to combating cynicism is forming a strong community. Think about it. When we're trying to escape this cycle, having people by our side who support you can literally be life-changing. It's no secret. You can't fight your inner cynic alone. It's like trying to run a marathon on one leg. We need people. People who believe in us, who lift us up, and who are there to remind us that the world isn't all bad.
In a supportive community, cynicism doesn't have the same hold. Being a part of something bigger than yourself, whether a group of friends or family, or even a school or club, creates a sense of belonging. It reminds us that we're no longer isolated in our struggles. These connections help us feel seen, heard, and dare I say it, validated. We can find meaning in the chaos through collective action. The director of the Social Neuroscience Lab at Stanford, Jamil Zaki, explains how trusting one another can be a powerful antidote to cynicism. He says, when we're in a community together, it becomes really difficult to judge people in a black and white way.
Josh and I are the co-presidents of the South Asian Student Association at our school. When we first joined, it wasn't just about finding our cultural community. It was about finding a space where we felt like we belonged. Before the first meeting, I didn't even realize how much I craved this sense of community. Being in a space where people understood me, respected my traditions, and genuinely supported one another changed everything. It showed me that I didn't have to go through things alone. My time in India left me not only with a new language and appreciation for my culture, but it gave me new best friends, a community that showed me what unconditional love should feel like, and a second home. My time in India is one that I cherish so incredibly deeply, and never in a million years did I think I would get to honor this beautiful chapter of my life through a school club. And the best part is, that sense of community I found in Bangalore doesn't just exist in club meetings. It extends to Bollywood dance parties, movie nights, and potlucks. Without even realizing it, Josh and I created our own spaces of trust and belonging.
South Asian Student Association isn't just a club. It's proof that the right community can shift your perspective. It reminded us that trust, connection, and support aren't out of reach. You just have to be willing to engage with them. When teens are part of strong communities, they develop stronger mental resilience, more positive outlooks, and healthier relationships. It's in these spaces where we find hope, not only in ourselves, but in each other. All it takes is just one person out there saying, "Hey, I see you," to break the cycle of cynicism. It doesn't have to be some big life-altering event. Sometimes it's the small moments of kindness that make the biggest difference.
But remember, being a part of a community doesn't just mean being there for each other physically. It means being emotionally supportive as well. This means no passive-aggressive texts, even if it may be hard. Finding friends who let you vent without judgment. Spaces where you feel like you can be yourself without the fear of being mocked or dismissed. These are the kind of communities we need to build. Cynicism is a natural response to the world we live in, but it doesn't need to define us. As long as we can recognize the health effects and relationship effects of cynicism and take active steps to building our own strong communities, we can begin to rewrite our stories. Remember, hope is a muscle too. It may take time, but with the right strength, it's a muscle that can grow. So maybe, just maybe, if we turn to each other and start letting ourselves trust one another, we can begin to change this world for the better.
Or at the very least, stop ghosting our friends.
Thank you.